Okay, hi guys, Ngaroya here. So in this series, we're going to learn about Django. So Django is basically a web framework, which is Python based. So it's a Python web framework that simplifies creating of websites by using Python. So it eases the process rather than writing all the Python code. It simplifies the process so that you concentrate on what you're trying to create. First of all, I'm assuming that you've already installed Python in your device, and if you have now to use the pip command to install the Django. So we open the command prompt and we use pip install Django. Enter, and it says requirement already satisfied, since I have already installed. But if you haven't, it will undergo the process of installation, and once it completes, it will say Django has been installed. To know if it has installed correctly, we check on Django-admin, and when it shows all these Django commands, it means it has installed correctly. So we are going to start a Django project using this specific command here, and we're going to place it on the desktop. So we'll write cd, which is open directory, to the desktop from user Ngaroya desktop. Enter. Now we can use the Django-admin start project, and we'll name it, because the project is about the student database, which is a very simple project where the database of students' names, emails will be stored, and also a form where you can create new, you can add new students. So it's a database, a very simple database. I have been told to work on, and I want to work on it as I show you how to do this. So we have created a start project. We'll call it the student database. Enter, and now it has been created. If we look at our desktop here, we'll see student database here. Thus it has been created. So we are going to go inside that student database, cd student database, enter, and now we are in the student database. Okay, now let's just look at the basic things that are inside this Django application that we have created, this student database. So we'll start by let's just use Sublime Text, our text editor. Okay, minimize this. So we'll open file, go to our desktop where we created the application, click this, open. We need to open a folder, not a file, so that we have everything inside there. Desktop, we'll open this folder, select folder, it will open here on the side. So inside here, we can open this and we can find a couple of things inside here. First of all, we'll see the manage.py file. It contains a list of commands that we'll use extensively, as you will see. Don't touch this. We'll never touch this in any way, but just know that it is important. There are other things here, like the URL, which as you can see, the URL, you can see there's a URL pattern list where you can add more paths. And for a dynamic web app, for example, we're creating a dynamic web app right now. There's something like /student. So if it's, for example, studentdatabase.com, we'll have a studentdatabase.com/student, so you'll find maybe the student names, /admission numbers, or you'll find the admission numbers, etc. That's just an example. So this is very important. We'll be adding new paths here as we continue. You can see the settings.py file here. This is where there's the main configuration, and there are the allowed hosts. Like if you find a new host's name, like www.thestudentdatabase.com or something, we'll add the host here. And for a local server, the 127.0.0.8000, we'll also add them here. We also find the database here. When you move around, you can see a lot of things. Hosts, install applications, the things that we'll use for when we install the application, we have to add it here. The middleware, there's so many things here. You can see the database where they've put a db.squarelights, but we'll change it to my SQL or Postgre, but I prefer using Postgre. You can see the WSGI file here. This is a web server setup by Django. And yeah, so we can see the couple of things, but we'll learn as we move on. Let's work on launching our first database. So we had opened the directory for the student database. For us to run this database, we just write python manage.py run server, enter, and then silent system check identified, no issues, 0 silenced. And you can see it has been deployed here. You can copy this, open Chrome, paste it here, enter, and you can see the install worked successfully. Congratulations. Okay, this is now our local server that we'll use to just edit the web app before we deploy it to the net now, where we'll have our normal .com.co.org's website. But for now, we'll just work on it on this local server, which is our machine, and make changes and just create our application to work perfectly. Let's just bookmark this and call it port 8000, enter. We can add this here. Let's just add this here. So we don't need to keep on typing this. So we'll just be clicking here. Okay, perfect. And for us to, we can see the progress here of the things that we are doing as we continue. For us to stop the web or the server that's running on our machine right now, we press Control C, and it will break the continuation. Control C, yeah, it has stopped. And you can see, and if you want to start it again, we'll run server again. Then it starts up again. Control C to stop it. If we stop it and try to reload this, it will say the site cannot be reached since we have closed our server. Perfect. Now let us look at apps. Let us look at the concept of apps. So apps are basically, it may be a little confusing when you start, but once you have more pages on your website, it will start to make sense. For example, if you're working on a site like, let's say, YouTube, you cannot clamp everything up together. So this is the home page, and you have the explore. You can see explore here, and it has opened the explore app, and there are more things like shorts, and it will open the shorts tab here. There are subscriptions. You can see the subscriptions here. So these are basically applications where each has its own set of code into it, but this general top part is the same, but the content inside here changes according to the application itself. So the purpose of creating applications is to prevent very congested code, to avoid very difficult debugging, and however, because the site we're going to create is very simple, it might have just one app or two, but you have to understand the concept of applications for you to know how these things work. Okay, so let's work on creating our first application here. So our first app, we'll call it students, and for us to create an app, we'll undergo through this process where we write Python manage.py, say start app, just like the one of start project, but this one is a little bit different. Start app, and we'll also name our application students. Enter, and you can see our app has just appeared here. And this app, when we open it, we'll find a couple of things inside here. The admin panel, where we'll make changes on the admin side of the person who will be the admin. There are apps here, there are models, and the models are basically database and class based objects that we'll use to make changes on the database and create what the database will be structured as. Then we have the views, and the views are functions or classes basically, which our URLs will go to and trigger and render out a certain template. So a lot of things will be inside here. Something else you need to do is you need to go to the settings.py, go to the installed apps, and then we are going to add our new app here. So we add it as a list file here. Comma. And we'll name it what we named the app itself, which is students. And now Django will know that we have created a new file, a new application, and it will identify with it. Okay, so we have our students here application, and now we have to understand how as I've said, the views work with the URLs, how we can add this list of URLs and paths and have them relate to the views to create a certain template on our Django application. So and that will do it on the next video. Thank you for watching. Let's see you in the next one.